Where do we even start?
These beautiful things that I've
Yes, welcome back to the Rendezvous, ladies and gentlemen. Your place for everything 100 Thieves, League of Legends, LoL esports, you name it, it's here. We will get into the players, the series, everything about this past weekend. But look, I know I talk a lot of crap on social media, and most people that are going to be watching this video are here because you are diehards of 100 Thieves, or like you enjoy seeing the storylines in some way through like this video and content around the team. But I know there's a non-negligible portion of people that find me insufferable on social media, especially when I'm talking shit on Twitter. And I can't change how you feel about me. I know. I'm a loud, vocal supporter of 100 Thieves. I can be obnoxious when things are going well, and even in bad times, you're still sitting there wondering, why is this dude running his mouth? But for me, that's what fandom is. We are all going to have different definitions of what it is to be a diehard fan. Some of that is like spending the most amount of money. Some of that is being like the most optimistic and supportive in all situations. For me, it's just yapping. Look, I'm still going to talk shit, and every 100 Thieves fan deserves to right now, because we have been put down for quite a while, especially after that Worlds performance. And I know there are going to be people that doubt us even going into this international playoff. But to 100 Thieves fans out there, be loud, be proud. Do me a favor, go on every social media platform, and if you see positive things about 100 Thieves, like them, upvote them, comment on them. Go onto the Reddit threads of pros where like FBI and Ayla are there, and comment about like how much you're enjoying 100 Thieves, because you'd be surprised how subliminal like messaging around that stuff works. Whenever people go into a thread and see a lot of people discussing optimism for 100 Thieves and the players and stuff like that, it makes a difference. So 100 Thieves fans, we have earned every bit of this moment to enjoy it alongside our players and our organization. Bask in the glow of it and show why this organization should be kept around. Look, coming into this Team Liquid series, I think everybody and their mother was predicting TL, barring like obvious diehard superfans of 100 Thieves. I picked them in a 2-1 where it was like, okay, mid and jungle need to pop off and we can maybe win this thing. What I don't think, okay, well, I can't say none of us expected this, but like one of the things that was a win con for us was like, can you punish Umpty? And he had a tragic series. Like, I'm not trying to make this a shit on TL moment, but after watching pros and watching that series, it is very clear that something is up with Team Liquid in terms of just their communication with each other, not being on the same page. Umpty maybe being like on a different term than everybody else, but dude ran it down in game one, which by all means, Vi is a champion. When it goes bad, it's going to look worse. It's the same thing as Vex whenever we played that on the international stage. When it goes bad, it only gets worse, and you have to keep going. When you look back at that Team Liquid series for us, it realistically was a 3-0, which apparently we've actually thrown like 10k gold leads in scrims before, so that's news to me to learn. But it's nice to know that apparently like the game 2 loss wasn't anything that's going to mentally tip us, because we've been in that situation so many times before in scrims that we were just ready for it. All right, let me focus back though. Going back to game 1. Look, I'm not going to lie to you, there was a portion of that game where I thought it was lost, because the Rumble from Impact combined with Aurora and Nautilus felt like it was cooking us at various different moments throughout the game. For a while, it was like, okay, we have not been able to dodge like this combo as it comes down, but eventually Quid finally figured out, or I don't know whether he figured out or he like got to the point on Jace that he's like either oh wait, I'm Korean, I can just do this. Or more importantly, he learned that he could like zone APA out of these fights quite well. And you could just tell it was the same thing as last week. Like we made a point in game 3 whenever Quid was on Akali that like, oh, he's just standing there exerting pressure. And that pressure caused Disguise to not be able to like fully figure out what they wanted to do. And the same thing ended up happening here. Quid is just standing there on Jace in their way, and it's like, you got to come through me before you're going to try and do what you've been doing the rest of this game. And it worked out phenomenally well. FBI gets ahead early on kills, which allows us a condition to get back into the mid game whenever we were kind of getting cooked elsewhere for a bit. Most notably with Sniper in the top lane. Look, I'll just touch on Sniper now so I can get this like done once for this. He did not have a great series against Team Liquid. Like, Impact handled him very, very well the entire time. He was at like 5 CS per minute in game 1, which I know what people are going to be like, oh, well, he won the series, but this won't do well internationally. I don't give a shit. It's going to develop, and as long as he wins, that's all I care about. I know we didn't win internationally. We'll get there when the time comes. But look, Sniper got taken advantage of throughout this series, and yet still found a way to hold on enough to the point where we were able to win. Like, he's going to absorb pressure, and that's fine. So long as elsewhere on the map is freed up to do things, then that's fine. And that's where Quid step up. It made Quid look great because Sniper was the one taking the brunt force of most of Team Liquid's pressure. And by the way, Ayla's Poppy, we'll touch on Ayla later, but dude, that was so good. Game 2, man, we had that. Quid's 1v3 on Silas towards like bot chickens was, oh my god, incredible. I'm sitting there watching that moment happen. And it's like, dude, Quid's just on another level, because our whole team comp at first had me a little bit worried, because it's like, okay, we are like the incredibly aggressive team for 100 Thieves. For us to play a comp that is Gnar, Sejuani, Silas, Ashe, Rakan. Like, we have go buttons for sure, but like, your 80 carries on Ashe. You need to be able to just make sure that front line is absorbing damage, Silas is putting out some stuff, and just protect Ashe. Like, let her hit, and she'll be able to take over some of these fights, and then Silas can sustain throughout it as well. And it's like, I mean, if you're going back to 100 Thieves of last year, it's not a comp that you would expect us to play incredibly well around. You would expect us to be a little bit more aggressive, but we just played it incredibly well. Sniper's Gnar, again, didn't really have as much effectiveness as you would want it to have, but it was enough. The fact that we lost that game is purely on ourselves. Like, Team Liquid, well, yes, they won the game. We won it for them by the mistakes that we made. And I'm happy with that. Like, I'd rather lose like that now and learn those lessons. That way you hopefully don't have them later in the year, than have to worry about that come like playoffs or international tournaments. It's just nice to see. And dear God, that match 3. Game 3, once again, everybody's going to focus on Quid. Fine. But there is one thing that I wanted to call out from this specific game, and that was there were quite a few times in the early and mid game where FBI would just like ult into a fight and put himself in a bad position pretty consistently, and it was costing us some fights when it was like, you could have just played it a little bit slower and maybe we would have been fine. But as the game went on, he was able to identify it and correct it and didn't have that issue once we got to like the later stages of the mid game. And it was really nice to see. It's like, okay, as long as that keeps happening, oh, that's great. Like, it's growth. You love seeing individual growth or like adaptation to like what you need to do to win in the game in the moment. I loved it. We never got Ruinous Autocon in this series, despite it being the bloodiest in North American best of 3 history, which is wild. But overall, one of the most fun series that we've watched in a long time as a 100 Thieves fan. Like, for a best of 3, like obviously best of 5, the Cloud9 one last year is going to come to mind. The Dignitas one was like nerve-wracking, but this was just like from start to finish was just fun. Quickly touching on the Cloud9 series as well. Quickly touching on the Cloud9 matchup as well. I mean, there's nothing I can say here that's any different from what FBI and Ayla said from pros. We definitely had a better draft than Cloud9, and then once we got the advantage at level 1, we never really let up on the gas. We never gave them a chance to come back into it. We snowballed it into a pretty clear win, and it was a pretty fun and easy watch. If you want to see my reaction to that game, it is up on YouTube right now. Now, there are 2 specific players that I want to call out from this weekend because I think they deserve every bit of praise that they should be getting this week, and what I'm hoping to see from like the Dive, Hotline League, where I'll be calling in, which this video will go out after that. So I don't know if I will have gotten on the show or not, but I'm going to do my part to it. Ayla's growth has been insane. I've always liked Ayla as a player off the Rift, obviously. Last year, he was definitely the subject of like the most amount of criticism on the team. People just, if they could get a chance to roast him, would. And look, there are certain things that obviously you couldn't defend at the time. But his 2 series that he has played on stage this year have been phenomenal. His win rate against Vulcan continues to be absolutely nuts. And he was outplaying Core JJ throughout the series today, which was a massive, massive step up. He's a great ambassador for this program off the Rift, on the Rift. Now he's performing at a high level as well. Like, what else? Like, I just want to make sure, like, for all the negative reactions that he got, because he got so much flame. So much to the point where people wanted him dropped midway through the season last year when they were swapping out Meech. It's like, why Meech whenever Ayla was the problem? It's like, okay, if you levied that criticism there, and you're not now giving him his flowers here, understand that you are part of the problem. He deserves every bit that he should be getting this week, as does Quid, who returns to MVP form, who is clear, as of right now, the best player in North America. I have no problem saying that unequivocally, and I don't think many people can disagree at the moment. In terms of mid-jungle duo, we have the best mid-jungle duo in the league, especially with Quad and Inspired taking a bit of a step back this past weekend. I don't even know what else you can say about Quid at this point, other than like just same thing with Ayla, like a similar pattern with both of these two. Just don't be afraid to take a step back and think back to a year ago. Well, not even, like a little over a year ago with the double lift roster whenever people wanted him dropped and did not want him returning. It was seen as a gutsy call at the time for Jungle Juice to hold out with Quid. And now we found the star of our franchise, like our franchise mid player that for 100 Thieves as an organization we've been craving for such a long period of time. Like Abadage had that mantle for a little bit, but even prior to that, it was like a ever-changing cycle of mid laners that I don't think I need to rehash for PTSD of certain 100 Thieves fans. But think about how nice it is to have a 19-year-old Quid popping off at this level who's only going to continue to grow and get better. And if we can take care of him and take care of this region, oh man, are we set for many years to come. We talk about like Core JJ as like the face of Team Liquid and like one of the stars of this region. It's like Quid is a superstar as well and is earning that title. It would go a long way this year if he would be able to win another MVP, or even further on top of that, if he's able to win a split. If 100 Thieves can continue to level up and get to the point where when best of fives come, we perform. Because I hate to say it, but even if we win this first stand tournament, not first stand, if we win like the North America qualification to first stand, most people are probably not going to count that. It's unfortunate, but the reality is there kind of is only one title for the LTA now, and that's at the end of summer. So we can have baby steps, but like at the end of the day, you got to be good by the end of summer. Speaking of giving flowers, one thing that I personally do whenever I'm watching content a lot, speaking of giving flowers, one thing that I personally do a lot of, which I know maybe not others do, but like I'll watch like the main broadcast the day of and then watch like the interviews and all that. But then like after that's over, the night of, I will go and rewatch all the co-streams, whether it's LS, Dom, whoever it might be. I want to see what like all the community perception is like of our team, and also relive the moments and like just, I don't know, just bask in the happiness and glow that is. It's the same reason why like when the Weeknd's album dropped, I was out there watching every reaction to the Weeknd's videos. And sentiment is shifting towards 100 Thieves. Like last year, like in theory, not much has changed other than like we're a little bit more disciplined than we were last year. But community perception around this team is changing pretty quickly. People are buying in on Quid, obviously. Sniper brings an entertainment factor that a lot of people enjoy. The baby girl, I'm a good boy thing is like, oh God, an 18-year-old saying that makes me uncomfortable as a 30-year-old talking about this on YouTube, but I know it's going to be a clip that goes viral for an extended period of time that we just laugh at. But broadcast isn't going to know how to address it either, because like they're the same age as me, if not older. So it's like, how do you comment on that? You don't. You let the kids be the kids. They're going to say their shit and just let it go. But people are just having fun watching us, man. We're an entertaining team. We're bloody. We fight. We do the things that make League fun to watch here in North America. And it's nice to see that perception slowly starting to change as time goes on. I mentioned it in the beginning, but like if you see co-streamers reacting to things, talking positively about 100 Thieves, etc., be sure to go into those videos, drop a like, comment on them, like perpetuate that the community is growing. Like introduce people to 100 Thieves. Like, hey, if you enjoyed this, that's fine. Come watch more 100 Thieves. Come join the Discord where we talk about 100 Thieves consistently. Come watch the YouTube videos. Like introduce people to the culture around it, because when things start to change like this is when you can make a really big impact and start snowballing growth. And that's where we as fans really need to embrace our role of just showing our support vocally for the team, for the players, for the organization, which let's touch on that. The number one comment that I saw on social media yesterday, replying to like my post being braggadocious about everything, or like in the replies to YouTube videos, is like, man, wouldn't it be wild if 100 Thieves performed incredibly well and then is just gone from the LTA North next year? And those that tuned into my stream, or those that like pay any attention to Twitter, you know I feed this over the head, but it's fine. It's worth repeating and consistently having this conversation over and over again. As it stands right now, yes, 100 Thieves sold their equity back to Riot, and Riot controls their fate. I get that 100 Thieves technically put themselves in this predicament, but there's nothing stopping Riot from deciding to just make that slot a long-term non-equity partner. the same way that Valorant is, where you do get a reduced stipend, reduced revenue, but you keep 100 Thieves in the league, a brand name that clearly you want to have around. My understanding, because I know there's people that are going to be like, oh, well, management wanted out. Management wanted all these things. Look, I have had conversations with people inside the org and have had access to like some conversations that most people don't. But one thing that people don't quite know from the outside looking in is that everybody within the organization wants to stay. That's been made very clear to me. That is one piece that like I can confidently say here is like nobody within 100 Thieves wants to leave League of Legends that is currently touching the LoL esports program. Now I can't speak on executive management, can't speak on ownership, can't speak on anybody that's like above like that caliber, Nadeshot level and above. But at the end of the day, if you think that they don't want to be here, they do. So when you're placing resentment, whenever you start like looking at this saying like, oh, they don't want to be here, they do. I don't know what else to tell you. I don't know what wording I can use otherwise. So when putting this out to Riot, whose decision this ultimately, or at least their shoulders it falls on, Riot, there's no reason you can't do this. There's no reason why you couldn't make them a non-equity partner and keep them around for an extended period of time. If you truly want them here, and given the viewership that we saw this past weekend, where 100 Thieves clearly drove a good bit of that, and 2 of the 100 Thieves series are pretty high up other than the opening game between FlyQuest and Shopify, yeah, I would say you got a pretty good partner on your hands here. The program is break even from the 100 Thieves side, from what I've been told, and you got something to work with. You got a good long-term partner here. Don't mess it up just because you have this idea in your head that you need a $10 million price tag on what this slot would be worth for like market value or like whatever anybody else is willing to pay. Don't give it to Team Falcons. Saudi Arabia doesn't need it. At the end of the day, like keep it within the teams and franchises that have helped build this over an extended period of time. I know it might not seem like that, given that 100 Thieves needed the money, and I can't speak to what their organization says outside of that. But at a minimum, look, I'll continue to do all I can and have any sort of voice on it, you know, from a third-party point of view. But I'm just saying I think it's in your best interest to keep them. Filming a YouTube video. I do commentary content on YouTube and around like. Have you ever played League of Legends or heard of it? Yeah, but I'm pressed within like the League of Legends space in North America. So. Just fun to talk about things. Finally, I did open this up for some community conversations, community questions, see if anybody had any thoughts that they want to add. Con asked, how scared was 100 Thieves to play Shopify? Not at all. Did we watch the same Shopify game? I wasn't. Even if we had lost to Team Liquid, I think we would have been fine. But that's going to be it for the Rendezvous this week. I'm not going to worry about previewing playoffs or who we're going to play in 2 weeks. For now, just go enjoy the Super Bowl. Go enjoy the week off. We've earned it. I personally am not going to be watching the LTA games this upcoming week because it's the Super Bowl and Kendrick Lamar is performing. Why would I not? But again, show as much love as you can to these players, to this organization, to everybody out there. Make it apparent that we love 100 Thieves. We love everything about this and just want them to stick around because you'd be surprised how much community positive sentiment is going to make a difference on this type of thing. If you're anything like me, you're probably going to be spending the rest of this week and maybe into the weekend just watching every bit of conversation talk that'll be around 100 Thieves. And there'll be people that'll try and put us down and just ignore them. They have no say, they have no anything. As of right now, we are the best team in North America. Does that mean that we're favorites going into playoffs? That'll be a conversation for next week. We'll worry about that then. But for now, we're the best regular season team. And there's pride in that.